Welcome to Highline Excel 2016 class, video number 8. Hey, if you want to download this workbook, Business 218, video 8, or the PDF files and follow along, click on the link below the video. Hey, we have a great video here. We have to talk about text formulas and text functions. Here are our 4 topics. Text formulas, we want to see how to use the ampersand to join items together. And then text functions to extract partial text items from larger text items. Then we'll see the text function and custom number formatting to create labels. And finally, we'll see an amazing new function in Excel 2016, TEXTJOIN. Now let's go over to the sheet TEXT1. Now our first example, we have first name and last name. And we've done this example earlier in this class and even back in our prerequisite class, Business 216. We can equal sign, click on the first name. Now the join symbol is Shift 7, and we need to join not just these 2 cells, but we need a space. So double quote, space, double quote, and then an ampersand and the last name. So 2 ampersands because we have 1, 2, 3 things that we're joining together. Control Enter, and there you go. That is a text formula because it's delivering text. Double click and send it down. And there we go. Last cell, F2, looking good. All right, so text formulas where we're joining things together. That is a common text formula task. Let's look at our second type of text formula. Hey, oftentimes we need to extract partial text items from a larger text item. So for example, we might have state and zip code, and we need to break that apart. We might have first and last name, and we need to get just the last name or just the first name. Here, we might have product region and the actual revenue number, and we need to get that revenue number. Now, in all of these situations, we could use Power Query. We could use text to columns. We could use flash fill, and we could use formulas. We're going to talk about in this video formulas. And formulas in general are used when the source data might change and you need everything to update instantly. All right, our first example, we want to, from our state and zip code column, extract just the state and put it right here. Just the zip code and put it right here. Actually, before we do our first 2 examples, I would like to hide these columns. So I'm going to click on C column header and drag all the way to F. And then right-click. There's hide, and later we'll use unhide. I'm going to click hide. That way we have a little bit more room. We can clearly see B to G. Now, if we're trying to extract some text from a larger, and they call this a text string, we need to recognize a pattern. Now, for state and zip code, the pattern is pretty easy. It's always the 2 characters from the left for state and the 5 characters from the right for zip code. When we get over to first name and last name, it's not so easy because each first name doesn't have the same number of characters. In this case, the pattern we're recognizing to separate first name and last name is please find a space. As you recall from earlier in the class, that's called the delimiter. All right, so let's start with state. Luckily, there's a left function, so we can get 2 characters from the left. And there's a right function. We can get the 5 characters from the right. So I'm going to click in G22 equals, and there is the left function. Here's our text, comma, number of characters. I'm simply going to hard code this in as a 2 because state abbreviation is always 2 characters. Control Enter, double click and send it down. Zip code equals, you betcha, there's a right function. I'm going to say, hey, give me the text and the number of characters from the right, 5. Now, most of the time, we don't have a fixed number of characters, so we're going to have to learn other ways to figure out the length of the text that we want. Control Enter, double click and send it down. Now, notice these text functions always spit out text. We can see our alignment is to the left. It looks like a number, but we know the default alignment tells us this is text. Now, for zip code, it doesn't matter. When we get over to amount, it will matter, and we'll see how to convert text numbers back to numbers. All right, what in the world are we going to do for first name, if we need to extract first name from this whole column, well, here if we count, this is 7 characters to get Rosalie, 6 characters to get Marcia. Each one has a variable length. Well, our delimiter is a space, and luckily, right here it would be 8, this would be 7. We can find the space using the search function. Now, the search function is going to be one of the more useful functions because oftentimes we're going to be searching through text strings and finding the position of a character, which is our delimiter. Now, we need to say, hey, search find in double quotes a space, comma, within, and we simply click relative cell reference. When I close parentheses, Control Enter, double click and send it down. There it is, 8, 7. Down here we have a 6. Now for Jesse, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we really don't want a 6 here. We want a 5. Up here, we really don't want an 8. We want a 7. So F2, we simply subtract 1. Notice search found the space, but we do not want to include that space when we're extracting. So that's why we're subtracting 1. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. Now I've highlighted the entire column, and in the active cell I hit F2. And right before search, I'm going to put left. The text, there is the full text, comma, and there it is. Number of characters. I'm using search to find the space, which is 8. I subtract 1. That's exactly the length of the first name, close parentheses. And Control Enter to populate this all the way down. And there we have extracted our first name. Now for last name, what are we going to do? We know we could find the delimiter with search, but I don't need from the left. I need from the right. So each name on the right has a variable length. Well, get this. If we know search is 8, if we knew the total length of the text in the cell, we could simply say the total length minus wherever the space is, and that would work. Well, luckily, there's a LEN function. It'll simply find the length of whatever text is in that cell. Close parentheses, Control Enter, double click and send it down. Active cell at the top, F2. Now I can subtract search. Double quote, space, double quote. So I'm telling search for a space within, close parentheses. Right now it gets 15 minus 8, which is exactly our 7. So when I Control Enter to populate that edited formula all the way down, that's exactly the length from the right for each one of our last name. F2, and right before this LEN search, I'm going to put a right. The text, I click on the cell with the sales rep name, comma, and there's our number of characters from the right. I come to the end, close parentheses, Control Enter, double click and send it down. That is amazing. Now, for each one of these, F2, these are all relative cell references, so they all look like they're working perfect. Now, our next extraction is going to be product name, but we've hidden the column. So I highlight B and G, and now I right-click Unhide. Now, I actually would like to highlight A and B. Now, watch this. I'm going to hold the Control key and then click on E to F. And now I can right-click Hide. Now I have my description and website. Now we need to get product, region, and amount from this description. Well, our delimiter from the left is going to be /. Then we're going to have to get region, which is from the middle. So we'll use the mid function. And then this will be the right function. All right, let's start with product equals search. And I'm searching for in double quotes /, comma, within relative cell reference, close parentheses, Control Enter. Double click and send it down. Now notice, this is finding / in the 9th position, but we really need to subtract 1, 2 to get to that last letter of the product name. So F2 minus 2. Control Enter to populate this all the way down. Now we have the length from the left in the active cell F2, and now I use the left. the text, there's our description, comma, and there's our number of characters. In this case, search -2. Close parentheses. Control Enter to populate that all the way down. And there we have our product name. Now we need to get our region. And if we look over here, that's in the middle of our larger text string. Now this is going to take a little trickery here. We can certainly get the starting position of West by searching for the /. But for the mid function, if we have a starting position, which would be this W, we then need to know how many characters to go. And that's going to involve searching for colon and then subtracting the search for this /. All right, let's start with that part first. And before we do that, let's hide some more columns. So I'm going to click on G all the way to J, right-click, hide. Notice it's OK to hide and then hide again. All right, I actually want to see in our formula if we can calculate how many characters each region is. So I'm going to start with search, and I'm going to search for colon, comma, within this. Close parentheses, Control Enter, double click, and send it down. So that is for every one of these descriptions where the colon is. Now F2, I would like to subtract the search of /, so minus search, and this is the /, comma, within that description there. Now if I do that right now, notice it's whatever position that is minus whatever position that is. But I actually need the length of West. The problem is going to come from the search of this / because I need to actually go 1, 2 characters ahead. So I actually need to subtract 2. But watch this. I'm going to Control Enter, thinking that this might be it. And this is one approach to solving a problem like this. You can see in all cases, if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 2 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 2 off. So F2, we can subtract 2. Either the sledgehammer method where we enter it and see how many we're off by, or by counting characters, we got -2. Control Enter, and that is just the length of each region. Now we need to use that F2 inside of the mid function. Now the mid function needs some text, which is this right here, comma. Then it needs the start number and the number of characters. Well, we already have the number of characters. So start number is going to be search, and we're searching for /, comma, within. And if I close parentheses, I'm in the start number, comma. That whole thing is number of characters. But let's go back to start number. Remember, search is going to give us 9 for that /, but we need to go 9, 10, 11. So I have to add 2. Wow, that is a wild formula right there if I come to the end. A lot of times formulas like this, you just keep trying things, doing things in pieces, using either sledgehammer or counting your characters. All right, you ready? Control Enter, double click, and send it down. Now we have our region. We need to get our amount from our description. So I'm going to click in cell M22. Now, the amount, I'm going to need to go from the right, but I'm going to have to take the length of everything and then subtract the length of the colon to get how many characters each number is. All right, so you ready? Equals LEN. I'm going to take the length of the whole thing, close parentheses, and then I'm going to subtract search, and I'm searching for a colon, close parentheses. Now, if I enter this right here and double click and send it down, that is not the length. It's actually got 1 extra character. So if I did from the right, I would have a number and a space. But for numbers that we are going to convert back to numbers, that actually is not a problem. So F2, I'm simply going to put right in front of it and say, hey, the text is that whole thing. The number of characters from the right is len minus search, which gives us what appears to be an incorrect 4, close parentheses, Control Enter. And clearly we can see there is an extra space. But because we need to eventually convert these numbers back to actual numbers, we need to learn the trick to convert text numbers back to numbers. and that is any math operation performed on a text number will convert it back to a number. Not only that, but it will also get rid of spaces. So F2, we could multiply by 1 because that's a math operation, and multiplying by 1 does not change the number. We could divide by 1. We could actually even exponent 1. We could put a double negative in front, but I'm going to use plus 0. The math operator will convert it to a number, and the 0 will not change it. Control Enter, and just like that, it got rid of the space and converted it back to a real number. All right, now our website. Notice as we look through this column, it looks like there's a bunch of extra spaces. So even when I put some of them in edit mode, you can see there's spaces at the end, spaces at the beginning. Luckily, there is a function that removes spaces. The trim function, and the trim function specifically removes all spaces except for single spaces between words, which we don't have any in this case. But it will remove all those extra spaces. Close parentheses, Control Enter, double click, and send it down. And that's looking good all the way down. Now we have one last date column, and we need to unhide. So I'm going to highlight D to K, right click, unhide. And now we want to look at this ISO date column, but I'm going to rehide G all the way to L, right click, hide. And now ISO, that actually means International Standards Organization. And because different countries and different systems store dates differently, there's an agreed upon way of how to store and share dates. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits from the left. That will always be the year. And then the middle, starting at the 5th position and going 2 characters, those 2 characters will always represent month. And then the 2 characters from the right will always represent day. Now, it's important we have a lead 0 for month and, like down here, for the day. So how do we go from the ISO dates to a serial number date? Well, luckily, we have the date function. And the date is expecting year, month, and day. Well, we can use left, mid, and right to get year, month, and day. So for year, I'm using the left. I'm going to get the ISO date, comma, 4 from the left, close parentheses. That will be put into the year argument, comma, mid, and we're going to get ISO date, comma, it's starting at the 5th position, and we're going 2 characters, close parentheses. Mid will deliver the right number to month, comma, day is going to be right, and I'm going to get the ISO date, comma, 2, close parentheses. Right will deliver the day to day, close parentheses. And when I Control Enter, those 4 functions will deliver the serial number date. Double click and send it down. I can go to the last cell and F2. Now notice that is 4 functions. There are a number of different ways that we can, from an ISO date, get a serial number date. This is by far the most common. And in fact, the reason they standardize it 422 is so that creating a solution like this is easy. The pattern is fixed, right? 4 from the left. Starts at 5, goes 2, 2 from the right. However, there is an alternative formula that's quite a bit shorter than this. Now, it will involve custom number formatting. So I want to actually go look at Social Security custom number formatting. That actually will give us a hint about a much shorter formula for solving this problem. Now, let's click in this cell, Control-1 to open up Format Cells. Notice number down in Special. There's a special Social Security number format. And it's got 3 leading digits, then a dash, 2 digits, then a dash, and 4 digits. Let's go down and look. And anytime you have a built-in custom number formatting, you can actually go down to Custom and see what they did to create the custom number formatting. And sure enough, there it is. Those zeros mean significant and insignificant digits. That's why you see leading zeros there. And look at that. For Social Security, it was 3 zeros, dash, 2 zeros, dash, 4 zeros. Well, We can use the same zeros and dashes for our date, escape, but we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros for year, then a dash, 0, 0 for month, dash, and 0, 0 for day. Let's come over here, and there's a built-in function specifically for taking a number stored as text or a number and converting it to text using custom number formatting. So our value is going to be the ISO date, comma, and the custom number formatting, double quotes. Whenever you do custom number formatting, you have to put in double quotes, 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 zeros, dash, 0, 0, dash, 0, 0, end double quote, close parentheses, and Control Enter. That does look like a date. That is one of the many possible ways we're allowed to display dates in Excel. But notice that is text. It's aligned to the left. Now remember, how did we get our number over here stored as text back to a number? F2. Well, of course, we're going to do any math operation. I'm going to do +0. Now, when we enter this, whoa, look at that. That's the serial number, 42,566. But if we add date number formatting, let's go up to the drop-down in the number group in the Home ribbon tab, short date, and no way. That is amazing. And then copy it down. Go to the last cell, hit F2. That is quite amazing. Custom number formatting. Stealing the idea from Social Security custom number formatting, adding a 0, and the text function does exactly what date, left, mid, and right does. Notice we had to have the same logic over here, right? 4, 2, 2. Escape. All right, I'm going to unhide from F to M, right-click, unhide. So on this sheet, we saw a bunch of amazing functions for extracting text from cells using text functions. Now, we want to go over to text2 because we want to look at a few more examples for the text function and custom number formatting. Now, here we have 2 p.m., but what I'd really like here is a label like something like your appointment is at 2 p.m., but if I change this input to 5 p.m., I want my label to update. Similarly here, I want the formula to say the due date is and link the text label to this date. So if I change the date, it automatically updates. Similarly here, I want the rate is, and then click on that cell. All right, I'm going to delete this. Equals, and text has to go in double quotes. The appointment is at space and double quotes. That's all in double quotes. And then we use our join symbol, and we join it. But we're going to have a big problem. Anytime we have a cell references and formulas do not look at number formatting. They look at the underlying number. So, of course, when I Control Enter, that underlying number is the proportion of one 24-hour day. So luckily, F2, we have the text function. The text function's sole purpose is to take some number, apply a custom number formatting, and deliver it as text. So, comma, from video number 1, we did a bunch of things with custom number formatting. We actually did custom number formatting for time, date, and rate. Well, the custom number formatting for time, H, MM, and a space, AM/PM, and double quote. That custom number formatting will work perfectly. Close parentheses, Control Enter. Now, if I come over and change this back to 2, boom, there it is. Your appointment is at 2 p.m. Now, I have some notes over here. We covered custom number formatting back in video number 1, but I included those notes there for you to review. Now, this one I want the due date is, whatever date I type, equal sign in double quote. The due date is space and double quote, and then join it. And of course, the same thing happens. When I Control Enter, it gets the serial number. Formulas do not see number formatting, but no problem. The text function comes to the rescue. Text, comma. Now we have to remember in double quotes our custom number formatting for date. And I'm going to do the actual full day, which is DDDD. That will show whichever day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on, comma, space, and then M/D/YYYY, and double quote, close parentheses, Control Enter. And you got to be kidding me. If I come over and change this to instantly, that updates. Now, think about what we just did here. This is what we learned in video 1. That is the custom number formatting for date. Didn't we just use 0, 0, 0? You can't use 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 0 just will display the numbers, just as we saw, the year, the month, and the day. If you want to do fancy things with dates, you have to use the D for day, the M for month, and Y for year. All right, hit Enter. Now our last text formula as a label is going to be equal sign, and then in double quotes, the rate is, and a space, and double quote, ampersand. And of course, when I enter this, that is looking at the unformatted number. So text function comes to the rescue, comma, and in double quotes, 0.00, and a percentage symbol. That's how we custom number format as a percentage. And double quote, close parentheses, Control Enter. And if I change this, 5%, and there we go. So those are examples of creating labels with the text function. Now we want to go look at one last topic on the sheet, text 3. And we're actually going to learn about a new function called TEXTJOIN. Now this is similar to max ifs and min ifs and ifs. They are brand new functions in Excel 2016. I'm shooting this video on May 9th, 2016, and these functions are only in the special Insider Program version. So if you've signed up for Excel 2016, Office 365, and you have a special version with all the latest updates, then you'll have this function. Otherwise, it'll be available in future versions. Now, what does TEXTJOIN do? It actually does something amazing that people have been wanting Excel to do for years. If I wanted to join these 3 cells, it would be no problem. I would use the ampersand. But notice, sometimes we have an empty cell, so I only want to join 2 things. Other times, I have 3 things I want to join. And before TEXTJOIN, oh my heavens, that's what we had to do. We had to use is blank and if to worry about that empty space. TEXTJOIN makes it easy. There is the first argument. It needs to know what delimiter goes between each item it's joining. We're going to have a space, double quote, space, double quote, comma. And look at that. There's an argument that asks, hey, what do you want to do if there's an empty cell? I'm going to ignore it, so I hit Tab, comma. And text, I don't have to use the ampersand. I just highlight all 3 cells, empty cells and all. Close parentheses, and that's it. Control Enter, double click, and send it down. Here, it put a single space between the 2 items. Right here, a single space between 1, 2, 3 items. That's pretty amazing. Here's another example. Oftentimes, I get a list of emails, and I don't have a group over in Outlook, and I'm not doing mail merge. I simply want to use TEXTJOIN, and the delimiter in my email is a semicolon. So I'm going to, in double quotes, semicolon, comma. I don't have any blanks, but I'm still going to put true, tab, comma, and there's the entire list of emails. Close parentheses, Control Enter, and there it is. Each of the emails is separated by a semicolon, and then I copy and paste and put that into my email. Now, one other example, if sometimes we have a data set and we want to do the reverse of what we usually have to do when we import data, we want to take each item in each field and join it with a delimiter, no problem. TEXTJOIN is perfect for that. The delimiter, in this case, I'm going to put comma, space, and double quote, comma, tab for true, comma, and there are our 4 fields. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. So if you have 2016 or the latest version, this TEXTJOIN is amazing. All right, this video we talked a lot about text functions, including the brand new TEXTJOIN. Over on Text 2, we saw the ever important text function and custom number formatting to create labels. And back on Text 1, we saw all sorts of amazing text functions, left, right, search, and many more to extract data from cells and deliver it to the cells or a column. All right, next video, we're going to talk about all about date functions. All right, we'll see you next video.